finishing up our couple of days here chatting with the people behind the scenes who make racing happen. And one of the bigger names, maybe the biggest when you get down to racing here in New York State, is on the phone with me right now. Glenn Donnelly is 81 years old. He is north of Orlando down in Groveland, Florida. He worked at GE from 63 to 70 and then got the idea to put a racing series together called Dirt. And I'll tell you what that stands for because some of you might not know. So we're going to concentrate on pretty much the early days when Glenn made the transition from a regular job at one of America's top employers to take a chance on a racing series. Glenn Donnelly joins us here on the channel. Glenn, how we doing, man? It's been nice to talk to you. How you doing?
Hey, it's great talking to you.
So how are things in Florida right now? You told me everything's good. You're in the central part of the state, so you've missed all the hurricanes. Life is good?
Yeah, everything down here is what I expected. You know, I had come here too many years back in the 70s and 80s, 90s, and, of course, the early 2000s, you know, with our series racing at Volusia and down in Tampa Bay.
Decided to stay. You liked it so much. So hopefully
and I decided this is the weather for me.
Well, hopefully we'll see you up here this summer. He hasn't come up the last few years, but hopefully with things getting a little better with, you know, all the illnesses and stuff, hopefully we'll see him. So let's go back to the early 60s. What did you do at GE, first of all? Because my dad was at GE. I worked there for a while. It was a great company to work at. What did you do at GE?
Well, when I was in college, I took financing, you know, as my major and in accounting. And so when I got out, I had the opportunity to go to one or two places, either a bank or a company, and I chose to go with General Electric. And I was with them from 63 right to 70.
And bought a lot of stock like a lot of people did in GE and did well with it, right?
Well, it helped me secure Weedsport back in 1970.
So that was the first thing. I mean, because there had to be some moments at GE. What made you take that chance and take that leap from a secure job with a major company to take a chance on promoting racing?
Well, Doug, I really wasn't going to.
No.
I originally, when I bought Weedsport, I leased it out to this group that was running Waterloo Speedway. They were running that on Saturday night and Weedsport on Sunday. And I was just going to do the concessions.
That was it.
But I'll tell you, I did race cars in the early 60s. You know, the two tracks that I went to were Brewerton and Fulton.
I didn't know
so
that.
I was always into motorsports. Then this opportunity came along, and they wanted me to look at the financials, which I did, and I bought Weedsport. And like I said, leased it out, and only that first year, I gave them a 3-year lease. But after the first year, I said, I got to get into this. And snowmobile racing was a big thing, especially for me, because I was into it. And so we bought out the lease, and then I left GE because it was going to be too much for me to do both. And but for a good part of that, in 70, I did still work for General Electric.
Okay.
And I had planned to stay with General Electric, but you know, when you get into motorsports and what I wanted to get into, it was going to be full time.
So you went from the concession stand to actually promoting and actually running the races that winter, and then the following year you were pretty much in the role we know you for mostly?
Yes.
Must have been quite a change, but at least you had a good handle on the financial side, I would imagine.
Well, remember, we got into that. I started the motorsports in 71, and I knew we had to have that big feature at the end of the year. And that's when I went to the New York State Fairgrounds. And of course, a lot opened up then because they were looking for a promoter for their Labor Day race. And so lo and behold, they gave me that job too. So it fit right in for the Super Dirt Week because both of these started in 72. So I moved kind of quick. And at the same time, I was having meetings in the winter with all the key promoters in basically Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Canada.
So how did this former GE financial guy get all these promoters together and get them on the same page to actually get a series going? Because obviously that was the next logical step, was it not?
Well, I think, you know, because everyone operated on their own. There was no overall deal. So I put like 26 promoters together that we all had meetings. And I mean, you're talking people like Howie Commander, Jerry Freed, Paul Cool, Lindy Vicari, Stan Friesen. That represented, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, all of them. And we all just sat down. We were all agreeable on the rules, because half of these guys were running alcohol. We were running in New York and Canada gas. So between everything, we worked it all out, and we had to put this together because I knew when we went to Syracuse, we wanted every big name, which was coming from, I could just throw out a few, when you're talking Buzzy Ruderman, Will Cagle, Tobias, Brightbill, Pouch, Horton. These were guys from Jersey and Pennsylvania. And then you got Lebanon Valley that was running small blocks. That was Kenny Tremont, Corellis. And so I had to get them all together. So these meetings really worked. And we all got one set of rules. And the rest is history.
So which happened first, the Labor Day race or Super Dirt Week? Which one did you promote
The
first?
Labor Day race.
Okay, and that was your first time ever promoting anything at the fairgrounds?
Yes, and I think Brightbill won that one.
Did it go smoothly from your end?
Yes.
So you got the cooperation that you wanted, you got the drivers you wanted, and now probably we're feeling pretty good heading into Super Dirt Week itself.
Yeah, and Super Dirt Week that first year was tough because it rained 2 of the 3 days, Friday and Saturday.
Oh, it was 3 days then, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yes.
Okay.
We had to squeeze it all in on Sunday.
And
of course, the guy who won the first one was Buzzy Ruderman.
Won the first
He
two,
won
didn't
the
he?
First two.
Yep. So did the parking lot Packers kind of come into play in that very first Super Dirt Week?
Everything worked out, but I would say that if I wasn't into it so deep and we knew that we had to have this, because that first year we lost money.
Really?
But the good thing is I had a contract with Schaefer Beer that was going to last 3 years, so I had to come back with it.
Did you lose a little or a lot, Glenn?
Well, $7,000 back in 1972 was a lot of money.
Yeah, tough to make that up.
So, but, I had a good year other than that. So,
Got about 2 minutes left, Glenn. So did you feel encouraged by that first Super Dirt Week, or were you a little wary coming into the second one?
Well, I was always positive. Remember, I went through college on a football scholarship, so
I didn't know that.
I knew how tough things can get, and the tougher you got to get.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew we were going to make this happen. We put the series together that year, and so everything did work out. And from the second year on, this thing was a home run.
So you had better weather and more participation the second year?
Yep.
Was it well accepted? I mean, was the racing good? I mean, because I know they'd been racing on the mile since the early 1900s. Were people pretty happy with the product, the fans and the drivers and everybody?
We had, again, the whole crew that I had worked with and the people at the New York State Fairgrounds were dynamite, and they were real good people. So the one thing I was always blessed with, and I had a lot of employees, having 5 racetracks, 4 concert sites, we had a lot of good people. I don't ever remember ever firing anybody over the course of my whole tenure. So everything worked right, and we were off and running.
And the rest, as they say, is history at this point. So things are good in Florida. I understand you still have a couple of primates, you told me. We're about 30 seconds away, so you're still hanging out with the monkeys, huh?
Yeah, I sure am. I've had animals for like the last 45 years. So
Well, I'm glad you're doing well, Glenn. This is the first of several that we're going to do. I wanted to start in the early days here. So we'll be getting together with Glenn every month or two here, and we'll be talking about different things. And if you have an idea of something you'd like us to do, just let us know. Glenn hired me, by the way, in 1995. I was fortunate enough to sit between him and Joe Murata for 11 seasons. Glenn, you take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you again soon. Have a happy holiday.
Sounds good. Same to you, Doug.